You don't look like much, old man. You sure you can clean up our mess? The clang of the metal bucket echoed through the dark prison hallway. James Walker, a quiet janitor with tired eyes and a limp in his step, didn't reply. He just kept mopping the cold concrete floor, ignoring the mocking laughter from the inmates behind the bars. Most saw him as a broken man, just another washed-up veteran working a low-paying job to survive. But no one knew who he truly was. What they didn't know was that James had once been the ghost of Delta Force, the man who led missions no one else dared to touch. A man whose name was whispered with respect in military circles, and whose silence now hid the weight of everything he'd seen. He had lost everything when his wife died in a car crash, leaving him with a 6-year-old daughter named Lily. To stay close to her, he took the only steady job he could find, a janitor at Greystone Prison. It wasn't glamorous, but it kept food on the table and gave him enough time to pick Lily up from school every day. That was all that mattered. Until one night changed everything. A new group of inmates had been transferred in, members of a ruthless gang who ruled the prison from the inside. They called themselves the Iron Fangs. Among them was their leader, a tattooed brute named Riker, who didn't take kindly to anyone showing authority, even if it was just a janitor with a mop. James was mopping near cell block C when Riker tossed a cup of dirty water at him. "Hey, mop man," he sneered, "you missed a spot." The others laughed. James didn't even look up. He just said softly, "You might want to stop before someone gets hurt." That only made them angrier. Riker grabbed the mop, snapped it in half, and jabbed the sharp end toward James's chest. "What are you gonna do about it, old man?" The guards were on break, and the hallway cameras were conveniently malfunctioning. Riker's men surrounded him, 6 of them, all hardened criminals, ready to make an example out of the quiet janitor. But what happened next would become legend. James moved with terrifying precision, faster than anyone could track. Within seconds, one inmate hit the wall with a dislocated shoulder, another dropped to the floor gasping for air, and the third was on his knees, too scared to move. Riker swung a shiv. James caught his wrist mid-swing, twisted, and the blade clattered to the ground. He leaned close, his calm voice suddenly carrying decades of command. "You have no idea who you just messed with." Riker's eyes widened as James whispered his old call sign, Ghost Hawk. The name that even criminals had heard about from rumors in the underground. The man who had once taken down entire terrorist networks alone. The guards finally rushed in, guns drawn, shouting orders. But it was over. The inmates were sprawled on the floor, groaning in pain. James just stood there, breathing slow, his mop bucket still upright, untouched. Later that night, the warden called him into the office. "Walker," he said quietly, "I know who you are. And I know what you did for this country. You shouldn't be cleaning floors." James just smiled. "I'm not here to fight wars anymore, sir. I'm here to raise my daughter." Word spread fast, both among the guards and inmates. No one dared disrespect the janitor again. But James didn't care about the fear or the respect. The only thing he cared about was getting home before Lily's bedtime. When he opened the door to their small apartment, Lily ran into his arms. "Daddy, you're late," she giggled. He hugged her tight, smelling the innocence he fought so hard to protect. "Sorry, sweetheart," he whispered. "Just had a little cleanup to do." Later, as she fell asleep in his arms, James looked at the framed photo on the wall, his wife smiling beside a younger version of him in uniform. A tear slipped down his cheek. "I promised I'd protect her, and I still am." The next morning, Riker requested a transfer. He couldn't sleep after what he saw, nightmares of the quiet janitor whose eyes had seen war. And for the first time, Greystone Prison had peace. James went back to mopping the floors, humming softly, invisible once again. But everyone knew, if darkness ever rose again, the Ghost Hawk would rise with it. So if you ever think someone's just a janitor, a cashier, or a tired single dad, remember, sometimes the quietest people carry the loudest stories.